everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the comic book review series. And today I am going to be talking about The Flash, the Fastest Man Alive, which is a 3-issue mini tie-in prequel series to the upcoming DCEU movie The Flash, which is set to be released in June 2023. And in this 3-issue mini-series, it picks up where we left off from the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League movie, and it also helps to set up the Flash movie as well. And we also kind of get to spend a bit more time with Barry Allen as the character, because I felt that in the Justice League movie we didn't really get to spend a great deal with Barry Allen. He was just kind of more or less thrown to the deep end and was basically put with the Justice League to try and stop Steppenwolf and his army of parademons and trying to prevent Darkseid from coming to planet Earth and systematically try to take over the world. So in this 3-issue miniseries, we see Batman kind of take Barry Allen under his wing, training him and mentoring him and helping him to get to grips with his speed and learn how to use it in the correct manner. Because as we all know, Ben Affleck is set to appear in the upcoming DCEU movie The Flash, and we kind of like establish his role in this 3-issue miniseries. So obviously, when we get to the movie, we more or less kind of know what's going on already, because we've had 3 comic books to help establish the events of what is going to be for the Flash movie. So we're going to talk about issue 1 of The Fastest Man Alive, and this issue, just as I said, kind of just like establishes the relationship between Barry Allen and Bruce Wayne. Because if you remember, in Zack Snyder's Justice League movie, Bruce Wayne recruited Barry Allen and more or less like brought him into the Justice League. So they're just kind of more like establishing the relationship further, because out of all of the Justice League members, Batman was really the guy that kind of helped Barry give him his confidence, because you get the impression that Barry Allen hasn't been the Flash that long, because first of all, he doesn't call himself the Flash. 2, he's constantly falling over left, right and centre. And 3, he's not quite the confident guy that we would come to know him to be later on down the line. So let's have a look at what goes down in issue 1. So here we are. So this is more or less like set in Central City's amusement park, as you can see. So we kind of see that Flash is a little bit better as a hero, because he even said so himself that I've never been in a fight, I just pushed a couple of guys and just run away. So we're seeing him here more or less as the hero that we know him to be. And here we are. So this could have probably been the movie first. Maybe we could have got this one as like the sequel, so to speak. So look. So there's Barry Allen. Let's have a look. So we see the Flash more or less in action here. And he's fighting like this big guy here, as you can see. And there's the bat signal as well. So obviously Batman is in this story as well, or at least for this part. So we see the Flash is more or less taking on a gang here called the Jacks. So they've come to Gotham. And there is Batman, or as the fans call him, Batfleck. So we see Batman and the Flash, they're just like more or less working together here. So this is helping to establish the relationship more from Zack Snyder's Justice League movie. as you can see here. So in a way, you can kind of look at the Flash as kind of like Bruce's unofficial Robin, so to speak. And there's a little line here that says, "If you want my help, we're going to start with the basics, Barry. Tell me, do you know how to throw a punch?" So he's going to help to teach Barry how to fight. So I think that's quite cool here. Look at that. Now, this Batman has been around for like 20 years, so he knows every kind of fighting move in the book. So I think it's kind of cool that, you know, we're seeing Barry Allen being taught how to fight, because you never really got the sense in the Justice League movie that Barry could fight. You know, like he said, he just pushes a guy and runs off. So we've never really got to see him fight. So I think it's kind of cool we're getting that here. Nice. So there's that big guy again, who's looking for the Flash. So we're seeing Batman and the Flash working together. Ow. I think he's supposed to be Blockbuster. I'm not entirely too sure. So Batman's a bit more vocal here. I always remember in the Justice League movie that he didn't really talk as much, but I suppose if he's training Barry, he's got to speak to him a little bit. In the zone. So yeah, they're kind of like working together here. Nice. So Flash is more or less like picks up from the Master. I was minding my surroundings. Cool. We see them take out the big bad guy here. And there's a little line here where Batman says, "That punch, that courage, that was all you. You didn't really need me, Barry." And we see Barry saying here, "Speaking of that, there is one thing I need from you." And Batman says, "What do you have in mind?" So we see the big guy is locked up in Iron Heights Penitentiary. So we see Batman and Flash have basically worked together, but it's mostly like Flash is doing here. So we see Bruce kind of says to Barry, "Duty calls, it's time to get going." And Barry says, "You want me to wait for you to put on your suit?" And Bruce says, "You go ahead, I'll catch up. I'm not going to slow down Central City's hero." And then we kind of like see him for the first time actually coin the phrase, "the fastest man alive," as you can see there. You see him says, "Well, I guess it is time for the fastest man alive to get to work." So it's pretty cool they've already established the relationship. And there you have it. Stronger than steel. Nice. That's the name of the story. So, as I said, for issue 1, it's kind of like just establishing Flash and Batman's relationship more, because we know Batman's going to play a big part in the Flash movie, so this is a good way to kick things off. So that brings us to issue 2 of The Flash, The Fastest Man Alive, and we see the Flash take on a villain called the Tar Pit. So let's have a look at what goes down in issue 2. So we saw in issue 1 Batman kind of taking the Flash under his wing and helping him to fight and helping him to master his speed better. So this is establishing the Flash as more of his own hero. So Batman's not really in this one as much. And we see the Flash take out a random villain, and we also see the Tar Pit as well. He's quite a scary looking villain. Interesting here is that we got Patty Spivot, who everybody remembers in the CW Flash show was one of Barry's love interests, but here at the police headquarters. Barry's kind of a bit of a nerd. He's not as respected as the CW's Barry Allen. You know, everybody likes him. He's quite popular with the staff. Here, nobody really cares about him that much, as you can see here. So he's kind of a bit of a wimp in this one, which is interesting. So yeah, as we all remember, at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League movie, Barry Allen got himself a job as a forensic scientist at Central City Police Headquarters. So we're more or less seeing Barry trying to settle in to that new job, and he's not exactly getting off to a great start here. So as I said, everybody thinks he's a bit of a nerd, which is quite the contrast opposite to how Barry is perceived in the CW show. So it's kind of like a flip side. So CW's Barry Allen in the Arrowverse, everybody loves and respects him in the station, but here in the DCEU tie-in comic, everyone thinks he's a bit of an idiot, really. So it's quite interesting here. So we see Flash taking on Tar Pit, who looks very similar to Alien, which is quite cool here. And there we are. So we see the two of them battling it out. And we see here Flash is not able to control his vibrations. Yeah, look at that. Nasty. So we're seeing Barry using his head a bit more here, which is something we didn't see much in the Justice League movie. And as we all know, that Barry's dad is in prison for a crime he didn't commit, which is kind of more or less what the CW show was all about. There we are. So Flash is back in action. He's more or less got his speed vibrations back. So we see Barry and Tar Pit going at it and saving a mother and her child. Yeah, there we are. It's quite cool to see the Flash as a serious character here, because he was perceived as a bit of a goofball in the movie. That's a cool shot there. Look at that. That is amazing. It's actually a really good drawing. The artwork here is top notch. So we see him taking out Tar Pit, who is working for a crime boss in Central City, who's named Jack. And we see Barry and Henry talking. And there's quite a good moment here. We see Henry say to Barry, "Well, I'm just glad you've still got time to visit your old man. I know how busy you are." And Barry's saying, "There's always time if you make time. I'm just trying to live in the moment." And Henry's saying, "That's my boy. So where are you off to now?" "I need to zip around and take care of a few errands for my other gig. Then I've got a date with the crime lab. And for once, Dad, I think I'm going to be early." So there we are. Still perceived as a bit of a idiot, but we see Barry's more or less trying to get his act together here. I'm guessing by the way Barry's behaving, he could be maybe age 21 or 22, so he's not quite fully matured yet. So there's Barry getting his suit on. And we see a heist going on here. This kind of reminds me of that cameo from Suicide Squad when the Flash takes out Captain Boomerang, and when he says, "No honor among thieves, is there?" So, yeah, good solid second issue of The Fastest Man Alive, I must say. So this is going to bring us to the final issue of this mini-series, and that's issue 3, and this introduces us to the Top. Now, Top, as we all remember in the show, was a lady, but here he's a guy. So we've seen Tar Pit, and now we've seen Top. So 2 villains in the DCEU who we'll probably never see in live action, but as I said, this is a tie-in to the upcoming movie, so in a way it kind of counts. It's canon, shall we say. Here we are. Love this. This is fantastic here. Love the artwork here. It's just amazing. Look at that. Pretty cool if you ask me. Very, very cool artwork. So there's a Top in his suit. It's pretty cool here. So there's Barry and Henry. You can see Central City Crime Lab. Nice. One thing about these 3 issues, the artwork here is pretty spot on, I would say. Especially the likeness of like Ben Affleck and Ezra Miller. It's quite cool, I think. So there's the Top. Cool design for him, I must say. Can't help but feel he looks like a villain that I've seen before from my old DC comics. Maybe like back in the 50s or 60s or something. So as you can see, Top's abilities more or less like making everything upside down, topsy-turvy, so to speak. Nice. So we see that the Top's on like the rampage here. Quite surprised here that Bruce ain't in these other 2 issues. He was only in the first one, so I suppose that's good in a way because you want Barry to establish himself as his own man. So that's quite decent. So we see him learning to master his abilities better. And we see him saying that, but even if I can leave after images, that doesn't change the fact if I mess up even once, everyone is going to die because of me. To stop recording, I can't take that risk. Interesting. So as I said, we're not seeing Barry as the confident speedster that we would know him to be. There we are. Kind of reminds you of Flash Appreciation Day. This is now starting to feel like the Flash that I know. Like confident, but a joker as well. So it's quite cool. So we see him managing to finally defeat Top. And he starts to create a tornado here. Would have loved to have seen Weather Wizard in this universe. Can't imagine what he would have been like. So we see him take out Top there. So this is quite cool here. So he saves everyone. And we see meets Henry as the Flash. And we see him talking to him. And we see him saying to Henry, I'm off. Anything you want me to say to Barry? The same thing I tell everyone about my son, that I'm damn proud of him. I think he knows that Barry is the Flash, but he's just not saying anything, which is nice, I think. And there we have it. That's the end there. A pretty good little mini-series there, I must say. So there you have it. Issue 3 of The Flash, the fastest man alive. So let's. They have it all 3 issues there. Pretty good, I must say. I think I like probably the first issue the most. I think that was quite a good start. You know, seeing Bruce training Barry and getting him to learn how to fight, getting him to learn how to use his speed. So yeah, it was pretty good, really. So there you have it, everyone. All 3 issues of The Flash, the fastest man alive, and in a way they kind of help establish the character in the DCEU. So we got to spend a bit more time with him, get to know his character a little bit better, see him be a little bit more developed in preparation for the upcoming DCEU movie, which is set to be released in 2023. So that's going to be it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What's your thoughts on the 3-part mini prequel series of The Flash, the fastest man alive? Did you enjoy it? Do you think it did a good job in establishing the Flash in the DCEU? And do you think it did a good job in establishing the relationship further with Batman and the Flash? How do you think some of the events will be addressed in the DCEU movie? Do you think any of them will be mentioned, or do you think they won't mention it at all? And what's your takes on the DCEU's versions of Top and Tar Pit? Do you think they did a good job? Do you think they'll be mentioned in the DCEU movie of The Flash? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the comic book review series. So until then, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.